You want to know the real secret? The reason narcissists keep circling back to you isn't because you're an easy target. According to research on narcissistic personality disorder, it's because you're giving them one specific type of response that screams, I'm perfect narcissistic supply. And the terrifying part? You think you're being strong when you're actually feeding their addiction to control. But here's what's going to change everything. Once you learn this one verbal technique and use it just one single time, the dynamic completely flips. Studies from the American Psychological Association show that narcissists will suddenly find you boring. They'll move on to easier targets, and some will get genuinely confused because you're not playing their game anymore. That's when you know you've won. So let's fix this right now. Step 1. Stop defending your reality. Here's your first deadly mistake. When a narcissist questions your memory, your feelings, or your version of events, you immediately start defending yourself. You pull out evidence. You explain what really happened. You try to make them understand your perspective. Stop. You're walking straight into their trap. Research from Dr. George Simon's work on manipulative behavior indicates that narcissists don't question your reality because they're confused. They do it because your desperate need to be believed gives them complete control over the conversation. Every time you defend your reality, you're essentially asking for their permission to trust your own mind. Think about it like this. Imagine a narcissist saying, "That's not what I said. You're being too sensitive." Your brain immediately goes into defense mode. You start explaining why you're not sensitive, why you heard what you heard, why your feelings are valid. But here's what you should do instead. Next time they question your reality, say this exact phrase: I'm not interested in debating my experience. That's it. Don't explain. Don't defend. Don't provide evidence. Watch what happens. They'll push harder at first. But you're wrong about what happened. You repeat, I'm not interested in debating my experience. They'll try different angles. You say the same thing. According to clinical observations documented by Dr. Les Carter at Surviving Narcissism, their brain goes, wait, why isn't this working? Usually when I question someone's reality, they scramble to prove themselves to me. But you're not scrambling, you're not defending. You're just done with the conversation. Most narcissists will move on because you're not giving them the power struggle they crave. Step 2. Stop explaining your boundaries. You know what weak people do when they set boundaries? They explain them. They justify them. They give detailed reasons why this boundary exists and why it's reasonable and fair. Stop doing that immediately. Research published in the Journal of Personality Disorders suggests that when you explain your boundaries to a narcissist, you're not being considerate. You're giving them a roadmap of exactly how to violate those boundaries. Every reason you provide becomes an argument they can counter, an exception they can request, or a weakness they can exploit. I watched someone tell their narcissistic parent, I can't talk on the phone after 9 p.m. because I need to wind down for sleep, and I have early meetings. Within a week, that parent was calling at 9:15 saying, I know you said 9, but this will just take 2 minutes, and it's not that late. Here's the better way. When you set a boundary with a narcissist, you state it once without explanation. I don't take calls after 9 p.m. That's it. No reasons. No justifications. No detailed explanations about your sleep schedule or morning routine. If they ask why, you say, because that's my boundary. If they push more, you repeat the exact same phrase, because that's my boundary. Most people will respect this immediately. Narcissists will test it, but when they realize you're not going to negotiate or explain, they'll usually comply because the boundary becomes boring to them. Step 3. Create immediate consequences for boundary violations. This is where most people fail catastrophically. You set a boundary, the narcissist violates it, and what happens? Nothing. You complain, you get upset, you explain again why the boundary matters, but there's no actual consequence. So their brain learns something dangerous. Oh, this person's boundaries are just suggestions. I can ignore them and nothing bad happens to me. Dr. Craig Malkin's research on narcissistic behavior patterns shows that you have to teach narcissists that violating your boundaries has immediate, predictable consequences, not punishments. Consequences. Here's how it works. Next time a narcissist violates a boundary you've clearly set, you implement what I call the natural consequence response. You don't argue, you don't explain, you just remove something they value. They call after your stated phone boundary, you don't answer, and you don't call back for 48 hours. They show up unannounced after you've said not to, you don't let them in, and you're busy the next 3 times they want to see you. They interrupt you repeatedly in conversation, you end the conversation and leave. The key is consistency and emotional neutrality. You're not angry, you're not punishing them. You're just showing them that certain actions lead to predictable outcomes. Watch what happens. Most narcissists will test this once or twice, then adjust their behavior because they realize the cost of violation is higher than the benefit. Step 4, become comfortable with their disapproval. Here's the hard truth that's going to save your sanity. As long as you need a narcissist's approval, they own you completely. They can manipulate you with a frown, control you with disappointment, and destroy your peace with their silent treatment. Studies from the National Institute of Mental Health indicate that narcissists are experts at weaponizing your need to be liked. They know exactly how to make you feel guilty, selfish, or wrong for having boundaries. And as long as their disapproval terrifies you, you'll keep sacrificing your well-being to keep them happy. So you have to get comfortable with something that feels terrifying, letting them be disappointed in you. Think about it. When you set a boundary and they get upset, your first instinct is to fix their feelings. You apologize, you explain, you modify the boundary to make them comfortable again. You're essentially teaching them that their emotional discomfort is more important than your well-being. Try this instead. Next time a narcissist expresses disapproval about your boundary, say this: I understand you're disappointed. That's it. Don't apologize. Don't try to fix their feelings. Don't modify your boundary to make them comfortable. When you stop managing their emotions, something amazing happens. They realize their disapproval doesn't control you anymore, and most narcissists will stop using it as a weapon because it's no longer effective. Step 5. Show them you don't need their validation. The ultimate power move. Stop seeking their approval, their understanding, or their acknowledgement that you're right. Research from Dr. Eleanor Greenberg's work on narcissistic relationships shows that narcissists feed on your need for their validation. When you stop providing that need, you become uninteresting to them. Here's what you do starting today. Stop trying to convince them you're right. Stop seeking their approval for your decisions. Stop needing them to understand your perspective. Just live your life and let them react however they want. When they try to start an argument, you say, okay, and change the subject. When they criticize your choices, you say, that's your opinion, and move on. When they try to make you feel guilty, you say, I'm comfortable with my decision, and end the conversation. Watch what happens. They'll escalate at first because their usual tactics aren't working. But when they realize you genuinely don't need their approval, most narcissists will find you boring and move on to someone who still feeds their ego. Pick one of these 5 techniques. Just one. Try it this week. Maybe you'll stop defending your reality when they gaslight you. Maybe you'll stop explaining your boundaries. Maybe you'll create a consequence for bad behavior. Do it once. Watch what happens. Some narcissists will back off immediately. Others will test you harder before they give up. But all of them will learn that you're not the easy target they thought you were. Then next week, try another technique. Keep going. Before you know it, narcissists will avoid you because you're not giving them what they need anymore. Now, if this helped you, hit subscribe. One click, that's all I'm asking. Go show narcissists you're not someone they can manipulate anymore. You've got this.